चला 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 दियो दियो इतना दियो ले लियो लियो
छोड़ दो पाँव में पल्ली हटा लियो
निकाल लियो डाला का हटा तो मैं बेटा
Compañeros comandantes, desgraciadamente de la carretera Puebla-Orizaba, hay niños y demás.
ये क्या होगा यार हमें रिकॉर्डिंग पैर पकड़ ले पैर पकड़ ले यार दोनों पैर
You robbed my mate's nanny's cap, you little scumbagger. You robbed my mate's nanny's cap. You fucking did. You did. You little scumbag. I guess I'm gonna cut your throat. Give me the fucking... I think the fuck boys grabbed him. Mangle him.
You little idiot!
Now, robbing gas.
You fucking idiot! Who do you think you are?
Now, leave him, boys.
You little fucking idiot!
You
लाके खड़ जाऊंगा Ei! Ei! Vai, bicho.
Já fez comigo?
Urra! 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 Não! Urra, matou! Urra, matou! Urra! Ai! Ô, vai matar tua amiga, bicho.
Vale, mulher, solta ela, daí.
Tira tua amiga daí, tira.
Oh! Urra! Ei!
Dá o zoom, dá o zoom.
Solta! Urra!
Pegou.
Ai, meu Deus, a peruca, Ei, não bate mais, não!
Pegou a perna, pegou.
Ai! Ou tá furando o olho dele. Orra! Orra! Urra! Urra!
Como foi isso?
Sam Harris just deleted his Twitter.
I saw.
Something Okay. But so what are your thoughts on the gassing up of Lil Kelpie that we didn't know about at that time, but in retrospect, when you go back and you look at another interview with an unnamed podcast that Lil Kelpie did before he came and had the issue with you, you find a certain host as well as ODM Slim engaging in a conversation where you sort of realize there was like a level of frustration and anger that we didn't really know was there
At all.
after you and Sharp did the interview with him, right? So that kind of changed how we all thought about how that shit played out in here and added another layer to the onion.
Cause some of the cause HR was looking at me crazy when I was like, you feel me? Like, man, y'all didn't see that whole little ploy?
Right.
Like how he walked in with his, you know what I'm saying, with his muscle. Like, you feel me? Like, bro, but clearly that shit didn't affect my way of thinking.
But were you surprised?
I was.
But were you surprised to hear ODM Slim talking reckless about you on
That
that
shit was
other
crazy.
podcast? Because it seemed like y'all were cool when you were in here. Because he was kind of taking your side in the whole fight, which is kind of surprising.
Because look, he didn't know before during that interview. He did some research on me, and you know what I'm saying. We got some common affiliations that has nothing to do with no music industry, anything.
Okay.
You feel me? So he couldn't do anything to me. Nothing. He couldn't, and we seen that. He couldn't do nothing to me because you seen that energy on that interview. And I'm not gonna take away from his gangster. That's a loke.
It would
You feel
appear,
me?
yeah.
From a reputable neighborhood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he couldn't do anything to me, and I'm not acting like I'm just super tough. Now we got some people. You know what I'm saying? He knows some people who I know, and he couldn't do nothing to me. You feel me? But I just didn't know. I was just like, where's that energy coming from? I don't know him. He don't know me. Like, everybody just got fades for me. Like, I just don't fucking understand. Like,
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But yeah, like, nobody told me, honey, nothing was gonna do shit to me.
But I don't know. ODM must have took that the initial Kelpie interview pretty serious because he fucking hates Sharp as well, which we didn't really see coming.
I don't know what his feelings towards that man is. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what niggas' problems be with the pimping, bro. I just don't get it.
But so did you talk to ODM after that? Like, you guys had the whole conversation here after the fight, but then did you talk to him once you saw that other interview and everything?
Nah, I haven't spoken to him. Nah. Cause I just was like, it's nothing really for me to talk to him about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, how do they say, like, nigga, the truth is in the pudding. We saw what happened on footage after the camera. He was picking up my glasses and helping me pick up my watch and stuff. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why he put that battery in his back, but that energy was definitely hella crazy. Like, yeah, we finna go up there with force. And I was just like, damn, for me?
So, all right.
It's just one dude, little old me.
I was asking Kelpie. I was trying to figure out if they were recruiting him for the Crips. He said he wasn't interested.
I hope not. That's not a good look, man.
You don't think he could hang?
I don't know what the fuck
thing that has happened to Destiny against his own wishes, but
Yes.
his basic explanation for it when I heard him talk about it on his podcast this morning is that he felt like it was making him hate a lot of people that he previously respected, and that it was just felt like it was just overall having this massively negative impact on his life.
Twitter was giving me a very dark view of other people. And the fact that I believed, and still believe, that it's a distorted view wasn't enough to inoculate me against this change in my attitude. Even some of the people who were most committed to attacking me on the platform, I know that my impression of them was distorted by Twitter. I mean, there might be a few exceptions to this, but I believe that very few of my enemies on Twitter are anywhere near as bad as they seem to me on Twitter. There's just no way around it. Twitter was causing me to dislike people I've never met. And it was even causing me to dislike people I actually know, some of whom used to be my friends. Rather than say anything about why I was leaving on Twitter, I just deleted my account.
Now, you recently had your Twitter deleted again for the millionth time.
Elon, you're unbanning people today. Unban me.
Are you actually hopeful?
I don't know. I'm at OmniDestiny. I was banned for bullshit reasons. I'm a progressive left, and I love trans kids and everything. Okay, not like that, but
right. It would be nice to have you back on the platform.
Yeah,
and,
I need to be
and not
there.
have to be ban
I'm
evading.
seeing these guys getting these guys from the Fourth Reich are getting unbanned on Twitter. I'm like,
Right.
are you fucking serious? Stefan Molyneux is back. Sargon of Akkad is on there tweeting like, centrism is when we have absolutely zero immigration. Like, what the fuck are these guys getting back? And I'm in Twitter jail.
Yeah,
It's
but how do you
bullshit.
get the attention of getting Elon to let you back on?
I've gotten deleted from Twitter too, and maybe if we just reapply, I somehow doubt that's going to have any different outcome.
I think they're going to come up with like a specific portal for people to use for
I logged
this.
into all 8 of my banned accounts, and I did an appeal on all 8 of them like 2 days ago.
Really?
And
There
so
we go.
far, I think 6 have been denied.
Do you feel like wait? But so when you like, how much time were you actually spending consuming Twitter? And once you get your account deleted, do you just have like an alt where you just refollow the same accounts just so you can browse? Or
I mean, like, I'll have people link me shit, but if I can't post there, that's like torture. I
Right.
want to be fighting with people, right?
Right.
It was actually even true when I was a semi-professional StarCraft player. I hated watching pro players. I don't want to, because when I watch it, it just makes me want to play. So I'll try to watch a little bit, and I'm like, okay, this is dumb, and then I'll just turn on my game and I'll start like flattering or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Like, what do you see when you like think? like when you're in a debate, like how organized is your brain? Like, do you feel comfortable having like a clipboard in your head of like the next 5 things that you want to talk about? Because that's pretty remarkable that our brains are so useless that we don't have that kind of functionality. I have no faith in my own ability to remember like 3 more things that I want to, like, and in that way, my notepad app is dramatically better than my own brain.
I bet you could, though, if it was a topic you've talked about a bunch, right?
Yeah, if I was a real expert for sure.
People
yeah.
seem to like play games and chat and argue and do that all at the same time, but the reality is it's usually an argument I've had like 50 million times before.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm playing poker, I could have a 100% conversation with you, or maybe realistically like an 80% conversation until things start getting intense, and then and I see it even with the best poker players where they're playing and their brain just slows to a crawl and they're using the wrong words and they're talking really slow and stuff because so much of their brain is being overpowered by it. And like another thing that happens to me is I'll be watching a podcast while I'm playing poker and a big hand will pop off and I will immediately completely forget there's a podcast playing, and then like the hand, say it takes 3-4 minutes, then I realize like, oh shit, I have to fucking rewind 3 full minutes because and I forgot that the shit was even playing. It's kind of intense. But when you see him playing games, it's like it just appears that like you don't need a ton of brain power because you're like solid enough.
It'll be the exact same thing when I'm playing games. If I'm talking to somebody and we're going to argue about abortion, I already know the next 30 things both of us are going to say because I've had this a million times. So I'm playing the game. But if you watch me have a conversation with somebody where it's a challenging topic, it's either a new topic for me or we're going into an area I haven't been in before. If you watch the game that I'm playing carefully, I'm usually just running around in circles because I can't focus on both. You can't multitask. Brains can't multitask. So I'll stop basically focusing on the game and then I'm focusing on the conversation.
You ever play Pokemon Go?
No.
The best.
Is it?
No, it's not. It's a disgrace.
I watched you playing that weird, like keeping the beat game while you were arguing with my man Marquette Oh, I didn't
Dude,
even
that
send
guy
you
is
that
an,
link.
He's an actual scammer.
Why? What's happening now? You have any updates?
No,
we
he's
almost
a
had him
scammer.
come in today to talk to
Yeah,
you.
I saw that. He's fake. He made like a fake whole 3-minute thing that he originally called it a BBC documentary.
Yeah.
Like falling around saying like, this is the new age James Bond.
I
But,
saw that.
Yeah.
It sounded like he got somebody to read the script on Fiverr.
He did, yeah, for sure.
Marquette Devon is the real-life James Bond. Of all the leaders I've documented, I've never witnessed an armed guard so taken with the person they are charged with protecting. Marquette is a man you share your secrets with.
No, he lied and he said it was, but he didn't take BBC out of the title. But he said this was a BBC documentary on him, like interview.
What was the BBC's involvement? If any?
None, there's none. This is just a video that he shot of himself and he paid for a woman to do a voiceover. All this shit is shit he wrote.
Is a man you share your secrets with and laugh with. Marquette Devon Burton is enchanting and bold and kind. The Kenyans literally rolled out the red carpet for Mr. Burton's arrival. He is an enigmatic figure, a businessman and a boxer, an author,
VIPs,
a stoic and a poet, and above all, a philosopher, a leader in reforming global human culture. He's written a 3-sentence Bible. Be yourself. Be good to yourself. Be good to good people. And here he is living that.
Hey, shout out to Nairobi. Let's go.
He is Mr. Rogers of the modern era.
But oh, I forgot to send you this link because I did want to have you check this out. He did a debate with this dude. Bro.
Oh my God.
I won't listen to it on the way home.
It would be useless for me to try to describe it. But like, okay, so I see that and I'm thinking, I kind of want to ask him what an NFT is. So I DM him and he says, thank you for having me on your podcast. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, so are you like speaking it into existence? You're like trying to act like it already happened, or like you're assuming that that's what I asked you by DMing you. And then he posts immediately the photo of with him and Flacco. They already did a podcast. How much faith do you have in Flacco that he's going to be able to handle that conversation?
Well, it's Flacco. He's probably going to like the guy.
You know he likes him. You know, like,
what's the guy's deal? What is his belief system?
He's just like a scammer that he does. He tries to like, is it like red pill shit, I guess? Or
I mean, he seems like quite educated, but like the way that he went into the debate with Destiny was probably like one of the most aggressive debates I've ever seen.
There's an example of like one of the questions he'd asked me. So I've noticed that you said that you were working too much and so you couldn't do college, but you had the ability to go to college and you went and then you failed like a loser. So why aren't you just honest about how you failed because you didn't have the drive to do it? That would be like every question you would ask me.
That's actually how he started
it.
it.
Yeah, that was every question.
And also, as if graduating college is impressive.
Hey, I think it would be impressive.
Well,
Listen, I wish I had my degree, but no. But
if-
yeah, every question was so aggressively like, why did you abandon your child that you hate in Nebraska to move to Miami? And why did you do it? And it was like, oh my God.
It was the craziest debate because the debate was basically like, is Destiny like an okay human being? Because he's calling him out of like you had this relationship and it didn't work out and you didn't finish college. I'm like, this is what you want to debate? Like this is what you want to do, is get him on here and just basically tell him he's a piece of shit?
That was what he was going for, yeah.
I was just like shocked, and then like you kind of see him start sweating in the middle of it where you could tell because like all Destiny's fans are fucking calling in and getting on video chat with him and trolling the out of him.
Oh, so like something came up eventually where he talked about something came up with business or something, and I can always tell. All of you know this. We all have this gift, this ability, where when you've been in a particular industry, there's a lingo that develops, right? Like, oh, like, can I go on your pod, right? If somebody comes on and they say like, oh yeah, I'm really big in the podcasting space. Can I go like on your internet YouTube show? Like when you're in any industry, and this is true of cars, this is true of music, this is true of everything. There's a lingo that develops, and yeah.
Can I go on your video radio broadcast?
Exactly, yeah. And he said something related to like NFT. Oh, he wanted to bring up my hypocrisy on NFTs. And I asked him, I was like, wait, before you criticize me, I was like, do you know what NFT is? He's like, oh, well, I gave like an advertising speech in like a virtual market, blah, blah. And I could tell immediately, you're full of shit. So I was like, hold on, then tell me, what is an NFT? And we went back and forth like for probably 5 minutes because I knew he didn't know. And then eventually I start playing my piano because I get annoyed, and then he starts muting me because he gets annoyed. And then my fans, because he does a call-in show at the ending segment, and my people start calling in, and they'll do these elaborate stories. Where at the end they're basically saying like one guy called in and he's like, here's a problem that I have with people like Destiny. Okay, I go to California and I get like gayified. Okay, I wasn't drinking boba tea anymore, or I wasn't normally drinking boba tea, and I started drinking boba tea. Okay, so I'm drinking.
This
all
is
this
real
boba.
you.
This is
the story from the
This
troll.
is just a random fan of his talking to the dude.
And he's like, yeah, I'm drinking so much boba, and I'm so much boba, and it's just horrible. And I'm going to this store, and every time I get more and more and more, and then he's like, and at some point there's like there's so much boba in here. There's not enough tea. Not enough tea. There's not enough tea. NFT. NFT. Do you know what an NFT is? And it was like this whole like 20-minute.
There we go.
Patrick, how are you?
Patrick. Hey, how are you? What up, Patrick?
Yeah, just sort of piggybacking off of the sort of homophobia discussion that you're having. Would you say that it's sort of like an ideology instead of like an actual real thing?
The word itself constitutes an ideology, or those who use it?
Yeah, those who use it. They're sort of like trying to indoctrinate people into an ideology.
So I think it's the most people who are using the word are just the followers. There were people who are a lot more intelligent than the followers who created a discourse, which was they've constructed language to push forward a given agenda. So they strategically define the word, and now everyday folks are using it. For example, I know Christians and Muslims who instead of saying husband and wife, they say partner. The word partner has been a creation of that, LGBT group, which is very clever and has some of the best.
Oh no, load it up, guys.
In the world.
Load up. Dude, I want to make NFTs out of this fucking YouTube channel. I don't want to sell it for $5,000.
Yeah, they created it and everyone else is just following it.
Yeah.
It's been pushed out.
It's something that I've sort of noticed. It almost feels like a sort of like pyramid scheme where like, for example, I got into Destiny because I had a really big fan of his as a friend. And so he sort of introduced me to his ideology and all of that, and part of that was the homophobia and trying to indoctrinate me into it. And one way that he did it, it was like really subtle, but I didn't really think about it, is do you know what boba tea is by chance?
Yeah, I think it's a tea that has a large straw and like balls at the bottom.
Yeah, balls at the bottom, exactly. And so he was, in my mind, he was kind of trying to almost like turn me into like a sort of like, not to get into sort of red pill talking points, but like almost like a beta, where he was like giving me tons of sugar, because that's basically all boba tea is. It's just sugar, like balls at the bottom. And after thinking about it, I realized that he was trying to indoctrinate me into like the sort of like pro idea of homophobia as like an ideology, instead of like trying to be like an actual friend and look out for me. And so I told him like, enough tea, like NFT, like what is an NFT? What is an NFT?
Real quick, can you guys stop trying to join the chat, because it's full and it keeps on popping up in this. So if you guys can remove, stop trying to join. It's kind of like blocking my view.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Talk to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for a lot of the work that you do actually on here, because I used to be a Destiny fan, but I learned that it was actually kind of silly because that's actually a girl's name. So I don't know, it seemed really feminine of him to like do that type of stuff online.
Okay.
And I really think a lot of the indoctrination that he does online is just really pathetic. I think it's really ridiculous. And he actually also doesn't know what an NFT is. So I was wondering if you could explain it to me.
These guys are awesome. I like these guys. Talk to me.
Oh, hey, Marquette. All right, so I got the command prompt open. What command do I have to put into make an NFT? Because
so first example, for example, if you want to generate Solana, do you know how to generate Solana?
Solana? No. What command do I?
Oh, silly buddy. Oh, how's it going? We got a black one. This is good.
A black one?
Yeah.
What?
Destiny does. I don't know. I mean, did you see the Justin Lee Peterson interview? You had to be asked a lot if he liked black people. So I'm sorry. I'm really starting to doubt if he does. No, seriously. I've been watching him for a very long time, and I followed a lot of things from his life, and now I'm actually really starting to doubt everything. So I don't know. But you mentioned Solana, right? That you can generate.
Yeah, generate Solana wallet. Do you know how to do that?
K Cappuccino in chat. He's the one that did that. But it was so funny.
Like, good for him. That'd be tough to reverse engineer like what words end in NFT.
It was so bizarre to see his fan base's minds like all coming together on like the best way to basically ask this guy what NFT is. But yeah, I guess he took an emergency vacation. He dipped out and like went to the Bahamas or some shit, so he wasn't able to be here. I don't know what he's up to.
Apparently, he crypto scammed his audience for $2,000.
And now he's going to a place with low extradition policies, so they don't come after him.
$2,000.
That was intense, to say the least.
1,900.
Here's one thing I want to ask you about. So I was listening to.
Wait.
What?
Before you ask me this,
yeah.
Can you remember this? I just want to bring up something really important you mentioned earlier about little cheat things for food.
Okay.
This is really important to me. You ever had Long John Silver's before?
Oh my God, that is always,
a long time.
I've always wondered who the eats there and if it's actually legitimate. There was a Long John Silver's in Sacramento where I grew up, and it was advertising fresh seafood. And
Okay, I don't eat the seafood from there. But the only reason you go there is for the breaded shit is really good.
Oh, so it is good.
The breaded stuff is good, but there's all these little crumbs at the bottom of the box that are just like the breaded falling off of things, like whatever falls off the thing. You can ask them when you go through, can I get a box of just like the breaded crumbs that fall off the fried shit?
Oh my God.
It is so good.
You're asking
I can't
through the
believe
drive-thru.
you're telling us about that
fucking
secret. I would have figured
God.
that I would find out about that
is
from
just
someone else.
It is some degenerate. They'll give you this box. Oh my. Okay,
I
sorry.
wonder if
you were gonna-
Popeyes would do that as well.
I don't know, but okay. Sorry, what were you saying?
Long John Silver's is disgusting.
Dude, it's anybody who eats seafood there should probably be impaled by the beak of a swordfish.
Jesus.
How's that for poetic justice?
Okay, poetic Flacco.
This is a long ass video. I edited it down. But to be fair to the woman who created this video, she was very thoughtful about a lot of the stuff that she said, and there were some good points that she made. And so if you want, you can check out her video and see which parts you guys agree with and don't agree with. Don't let us inform you, so the link is below, so you can go watch it without our input yet. But I'll play portions that I thought were interesting that I want to talk about with Preach, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Lonely single men are on the rise due to higher dating standards. Oh my God. It was like a mating call or something. But anyway, saw this and immediately looked it up because I was like, is this real? Maybe this isn't real. Come to find out, or as we say in Wolof, fake on their wall. These articles were published literally like a day or two before. So turns out this is actually true, although as always there's more to the story. But this is all research from the Pew Research Center, I think a place that most people find trustworthy. And when I was looking at the research article, I didn't expect it to be as long as it was because it was honestly very broad strokes, but it was mostly talking about how, yeah, just statistically you're just really worse off if you're unpartnered, especially if you are an unpartnered male. I'll link not just unpartnered people, but unpartnered straight men and why they are unpartnered and the effects it'll have on their health, mental, physical well-being, all of that. And how, and speaking in binaries, how for women, it's actually like healthier apparently for, you know, them not to have a husband or children weighing them down. I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. So if you even know, like, I don't know, maybe a bit about feminism, you've probably heard the saying, a woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. Fish don't need bicycles, just like women don't need men. In this time period especially, and not that this is the first time it's ever happened, but time when we started realizing, oh, what do I really need a guy for besides if I like to have sex? And it's not to say that the dudes didn't deserve the kind of energy we were bringing, because I'm gonna get to it. As I mentioned from the Pew Research, they were pointing out how men that are unpartnered, there's just diminishing of your quality of life, I guess, overall. And for women, it seems to be the opposite.
More trespassers! I will not allow you!
Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Now, announce Larry Wills, strongest bodybuilder in the world. Yeah, buddy. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
I know you can do 612.
10. With the safety squat part, it's kind of like a front squat, you know, it's a bit tough. I give it a try. Give it a try. Look what's happening. See what's happening?
Body effect.
I see.
Take your time, because I would have gone by now. I don't want to.
That's true.
I would go by now.
Because nobody beat me on wrestling.
No, but you did arm wrestle though when you were big?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did anyone ever beat you?
Yeah, I used to do arm wrestling contests.
Did you?
Really? High school and college. Nobody never beat me. Never.
Wow.
Never lost any.
PR lifestyle is more than just hitting a PR in the squat, bench, or deadlifts. A PR could be a PR in the squat, bench, or deadlifts. A PR could be.
And the staff, and now they're becoming even more left-leaning. And then conservatives are going, oh my God, look at all these liberal institutions. Look at how far left they are. And I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh telling me constantly that this is what colleges were going to become, and kind of like mail-in ballots for Trump. It almost became a form of self-fulfilling prophecy, in my opinion.
But colleges have been like that. I mean, I went to college 20 years ago, and it was already like that. It was already all liberal all the time. I mean, conservatives, that sounds great. It sounds like a utopia. Conservatives go into a gender, gender studies class, and they talk about pronouns, and everyone has a great civil discussion, and everyone disagrees. That's not what happens to conservatives on college campuses. They get shut down.
Of course.
They get put in the corner. You see, conservative can't even go to speak. I mean, a Tommy Lauren, whether you agree with her or not, can't even go to speak on a college campus without getting shut down, harassed, and they have to call in security. That's a huge problem. Why would a conservative parent want to send their child to an institution of supposedly higher learning where they're going to learn how to be a free-thinking person for them to either get indoctrinated or punished? Ridiculous. I would never. I hope that my child, I have a son, I have a 3-year-old, amazing kid, smart kid, great. What I want for him more than anything is for him, once he figures out what he wants to do in life, I would love for him to get some practical skills in that area. I don't need him to go to college for 4 years to learn how not to think, to be indoctrinated, for me to spend a fortune, for him to come to party and drink and do whatever he's going to do, and to come out and not know how to do anything. If he comes to me and he says, hey, listen, Mom, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and there's a program for this, and I can do it in 2 years, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to be able to do this, and it's going to be really awesome, and that's what I want to do. Amazing. Let's do it. So conservatives aren't here saying, oh, humanities is a joke and we don't care about English.
They do say that, but
I mean, that's just what they're saying is that if you're going to invest money in something, there should be a return on that investment. And that means that you should have a productive, free-thinking child at the end of that comes out and is in a better position than they were before they went in. That's not what's happening in college. If I were hiring someone for a position today, I would much rather hire someone who did not go to college. Why?
No shot.
100%.
Absolutely
and I do it all
not.
the time. And the reason is that the people who go to college go through 4 years and every single one of them talks and thinks and acts like a robot 9 out of 10
That's
times.
just, if I'm hiring somebody and I've got 2 equivalent candidates in front of me, and I've got a guy that was able to get his 4-year degree, that speaks volumes. I know that you can be on time. I know that you can show up every day and do what's assigned to you. I know that you have the ability to finish something. That's a hugely important thing versus somebody that shows up with no degree. If you don't have a degree, and you can make it without a degree, but you need a damn good portfolio to do that. And that is true advice for anybody working in any field. If you think you can show up,
is on its way out.
It's absolutely. If it's on its way out, it's only because people are wanting more and more and more education. The college degree is the #1 grower of wealth inequality in the United States because people with college degrees are out earning everybody else so so much.
Watch what
And
happens
it's
in the next 10 years with college degrees.
It's becoming more of a it's only trended in one direction, where the degrees are becoming more and more important. It's so important. Even other conservative-esque people like Jordan Peterson talk about, like, how do we have a society where it functions when the IQ requirements for performing well in society are becoming higher and higher and higher and higher, where the types of work that we have, the specialization required, the training required, is getting higher and higher and higher, to where having that 4-year degree is, from my day, it's the equivalent to it used to be having a GED or high school degree, where, like, if you didn't have high school in the 80s or 90s, like, well, man, what are you? You're a loser. Well, now, 2002, it just, the numbers don't lie. I mean, like, you can look at the median earnings for a high school degree.
What I'm telling you is that it is
changing, and that it's becoming more and more of a requirement.
No, you're talking to me about IQ as if college is an indicator of your IQ.
You don't think IQ correlates to intelligence?
Do you know how many people I talk to every day who are entrepreneurs who didn't go to college or spent their college years doing nothing, or wasted their college years, or have that 4-year degree but partied and joked around all the time? And you'll talk to them and they'll say, I had a friend who didn't go to college at all but was motivated and was focused. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, as an alternative to a 4-year degree for everyone, and some people may thrive in college. Like I said, you go to school for engineering, you go to school for a specialized subject, you go to school for someone where there's going to be an obvious reward to that program. Fine. I'm not telling people, everyone, this is a blanket recipe for you. However, there are going to people out there who are going to want to do something specialized that does not fit in with a 4-year bracket. That doesn't mean that they're not going to work hard. That doesn't mean that they're not going to develop a skill set. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be marketable to an entrepreneur just because they don't have a 4-year degree. That way of thinking is going to be antiquated very soon.
I'll if you want to do a time frame and a $20 bet, I'll bet you money. It's the easiest money I've ever made. Okay, $20,
I can do that for $20.
5 years, whatever you want. We'll do another episode if we're still live.
But Steven, look at what happened. Honestly, look at the one of the reasons that we just went through, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, last couple of years, and you saw what happened on college campuses. Look at what happened. I mean, they locked kids down in their dorm rooms in many schools. They now are, instituting, I don't know how you feel about mandates. I strongly oppose the mandates, but they're instituting that on college campuses. You have parents all over the place that are watching this stuff and saying, what am I paying for?
I am 33 years old. I went through a phase when I was 15 where my parents did a certain thing and I didn't like that thing, and I wanted to do the exact opposite of everything. At some point, we have to grow out of that. I can look at college campuses, and I've argued a lot of stuff. I think that I just went to the University of Texas in Austin and A&M, and I just did a Change My Mind event where I argue that wokeism is going way too far across most college campuses. I'm not going to disagree with it. That's absolutely true in a number of ways. People were writing, school administrators were writing if people needed therapy after the Rittenhouse verdict. Okay,
or the Trump win.
Yeah, it was unbelievably cringe. But I can't let that one thing that I don't like poison my mind against seeing all of the other upsides of doing college. If you have people that are capable of doing things outside of college, this is the advice that I give somebody. If somebody asks me, if they go, do you think I should go to college? And I go, if you have to ask me, the answer is probably yes. Because the type of people that are driven enough, like when you talk about people that didn't go to college that are entrepreneurs, they're not going to college because they did really bad in math and English and school's just not for them. They're not going to college because they're so busy with the path they're on in life, with what they've got already, they don't have time for it, right? There are people that are 19, 20. Yeah, they're already working with their parents' business. They're already have learned a trade, through their teen years because friends or a dad of a friend taught them things. They're already contributing to projects online. They're coding, they're programming 19, 20, 21. Right. And by the time these people at 22, 23, these are the stars. These are the people that they would come to me, hey, can I work on your website? Can I do it? And I go, oh, well, what have you done? And they go, this is what I've done. I go, okay, yeah, obviously you can work on my stuff. But a lot of people that don't go to college aren't like that. And it's a bit, it's, I don't want to say delusional because that's too harsh, but this idea that like all these people don't go to college because they're so busy pursuing other things is just not true.
I'm not saying all of them, but that's where the role of parenting comes in, where you have to know your kid. You have to have.
I have my child is 11 years old, and I told him, if you want to get into YouTube, do stuff like I do, that's great. You're finishing school though. You absolutely are. It's just you're doing college. It's once you have that degree, nobody can take it from you. You've shown something to the world. I might go, but that you can finish a college degree.
You show a piece of paper to the world that says
I'm so jealous of you. Give me your master's.
You can have it. You know what? You can have it because and I'll tell you why you can have it, because I learned more practical skills waitressing in New York City than I ever got from getting a master's degree at Columbia University. And if I could go back in time, I always say I wouldn't change anything because you know how you see those
Yeah,
movies where you go back in time, and I want my family to be what it is today, and I love my child. And I wouldn't want to move any of those puzzle pieces. But if I could go back and not move any of the puzzle pieces and not have wasted a year at Columbia University, I got it for free, and I can't even justify it.
It's a unique experience, though.
Great, it was a unique experience. I was miserable.
Then you should have done something better with it. But you know what?
It was not practical.
Where are there more miserable people at? Miserable people getting their masters at Columbia's, or miserable people that are doing waitressing in New York City?
You know what? I don't know, actually, because everybody I worked with was happy.
Then here's a question. If we talk about all of the elites in society, the elites that run everything, I know you guys like that one. What do they do with other kids? What do they do with other kids? They're getting them into the best university, the best Ivy League schools. You're going to Stanford. Why
is that?
But these guys are so successful. Shouldn't they be telling their kids, no, not my son's not going to waste his time at Harvard or Yale. My son's going to go out and he's going to start working at 19 because education is important. It's the foundation that you build the rest of your life on. And you're at the one stage in life where you can continue to learn and acquire knowledge and a unique skill set. You can't outset.
You know that's not why.
It is absolutely.
They're all of the same political mind. They are more than happy. You're talking about liberal elites in New York City. Of course, they're more than happy to take their kids and put them in the best universities because they know that the indoctrination that they have started in their household is just going to continue beautifully over there.
There's somebody's going to send their kid to Harvard just to finish indoctrinating? You can indoctrinate their own household.
These pieces of paper look great on a wall. What does it mean?
It shows that you went to for 4 or 5 years. You took some classes. You passed some tests. You could do a thing. Do you care about reading scores or tests? When you talk about like black communities or disadvantaged communities, do you say that like it's a crime that they can't read, that they can't do math? Why does education matter only up to a certain point but not past that?
Because of what's happened to college in the last 2 decades.
Because of woke people?
Not just
the woke
people.
boogeyman scared the kids
not
off
just
of college
woke
campus?
People, but if college is not a place where you're learning how to think anymore, and if college is not a place where diversity of thought actually exists, and if college is not a place that embraces true diversity, not just in what color are you and what your culture is, but in how you actually view and see the world, then what's the point? Why do I need to send my kid to go in and come out a robot? It's ridiculous.
Because
so I'm not saying there's no value.
Because the median earning of somebody with a 4-year degree is $20,000 a year higher than
and what I'm
telling
you is I see your stats, I hear them, but what I'm trying to say is that way of looking at the world and that way of idolizing this piece of paper is going to be on its way out very soon, because what you're seeing is a rejection of $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000 a year investment, and then you have a kid that comes out and you're like, what did I just do? The kid often comes out dumber, less able to think for themselves, and less accomplished, and they sit on the couch that year and they say, what are you going to do now? I'm not sure.
All of that, and they're still out earning their high school peers. It's crazy how that works. And they had 4 extra years together. I guess all that experience at Burger King didn't
We're
pay
not
off.
talking about today, but watch what happens. And I'm not talking about getting a minimum wage job as an alternative. What I'm saying is people need to broaden their minds. College still exists, and it will be the appropriate decision for some. Alternative programs do exist and will be the appropriate decision for some in order to, yes, you want to get educated. You want to get a path towards success. You want to get a path toward learning actual skills. That's not going to be college for everybody. That's all I'm saying. It's a little bit more gray for me than that. I don't want that to be everybody's prescription because I don't think it fits everybody's life.
Okay, well, this is a far different statement to I don't want every single person going to college versus college
I don't
is a
want
waste
every
of
single,
money.
I don't
well,
want
is
every
college a
single
waste of
person.
money? You just not want to, because I agree there are some people that would do way better in trade schools. I hated school. I sucked at school.
There you go.
And so yeah, maybe I would have done better in like a different type of program coming out for sure. And I grew up as a millennial, and millennials were all told go to college, go to college, go to. It was like the only thing right after breathing and eating, go to college. So yeah, I agree that there are different paths for different people.
So that's what I'm saying. What I'm
saying
what
you
is
were saying
size,
earlier was that college was a waste of money.
College
That's what you said earlier.
college is largely a scam for many people.
Okay, well that's a different statement. Then not
It is
everybody should go to
largely a scam,
college.
But no, it is largely a scam for many people. But I also believe that because I don't believe in one size fits all for anything, whether you're talking about the medical system, whether you're talking about anything, I don't like one size fits all. Mandates, I don't like any of that. I say know your kid. Have a conversation with your kid, understand your kid. They're going to have gone through high school. You're going to know what that experience was like. You're going to know what they like, how driven are they, what are they interested in. Have those conversations and don't get told by people that college is their only answer and their only path towards success. I don't believe that to be true. And I do believe 100% that college, not a scam for everybody, but in large part for many students that come out, they come out dumber, less able to think for themselves, and it's a disgrace for how much money their parents have invested for 4 years. 100%.
And I've seen plenty of people that skip college, that they'll do the one leap year. Well, I'm just going to take 1 year off. They never got back into it, and their lives just kind of petter out to nothing. Very few of these people become successful entrepreneurs. Very few of these people go on to acquire valuable trades and skills. Usually they end up doing some kind of work, and they kind of promote, and they're just kind of like whatever for the rest of
Okay, I want to talk about one of your you have a nuanced opinion on
Everything.
minors, puberty blockers, some of this. I don't know if on puberty blockers, but you talked a little bit about sports as well. transports, etc. Let's go to No Jumper. Tyler, 3343, and let's play that. I'm loving this discussion, audience. I'm hoping you are too. By the way, Tyler, do we have super chats we need to get to?
Not yet, but
is the conversation popping?
People really like it. Actually, there was one earlier. Somebody said everybody knows that money is valuable when you have medical issues. They were making the case if you're ill, if you have a family member that's ill, that money is exceptionally valuable.
We can talk about that.
What a great argument for some sort of like socialized health.
Hell,
oh my
what
goodness!
a great
so
argument
that money
to
wouldn't be a
wreck
gateway to. Oh my gosh!
No, government, get out of my health, get out of my life. We're gonna get back to that. Okay, let's go do minor. I think this is an important. This is an important gray area. So let's show this part.
There are strong arguments for minors getting access to, ideally with a doctor's approval, like HRT and stuff, or puberty blockers at least at a young age. That's a pretty radical left position. It's pretty far to the left.
Right.
But I don't think trans women should be competing in sports with cis women, and all the research supports that.
Right.
And that position can make me sound like a fucking Nazi, depending on who I'm talking to.
But also,
okay,
like,
so that's interesting to me because, well, I don't support puberty blockers for minors. If you're an adult, I have, well, you know, I lived for a very long time as like live and let live. You know, do what you want to do. You're a grown adult as long as you're not hurting anyone else, as long as you're, even when it comes to relationships, you want an open relationship, you don't. As long as it's consensual, no one's getting hurt, do you. But when it comes to children, I'm deeply concerned about what I'm seeing with young children. I mean, you have places like Boston Medical, you have other locations coming out and talking about having very descriptive conversations about gender in 3-year-olds. Utterly ridiculous. I have a 3-year-old. Sometimes he thinks he's a monkey. He'll say he's Curious George. He's 3. He's 3. So I think there's a lot of brainwashing and societal manipulation happening toward young children. And I also think puberty blockers for kids are incredibly dangerous. They don't just affect the sex organs, they affect multiple systems of the body. They affect the brain. And there is no scientific proof that once they are brought back in, let's say it's a pause and then you bring them back in, that a child's development continues as if it hadn't been interrupted. There's no studies that can show that. So I think it's an incredibly dangerous thing. What I'm interested about is that you hold an opinion that there should be some access to puberty blockers for kids. So I want you to talk a little bit about why. And also, though, you are what I deem rational on sports. Tell me a little bit about how it has been to exist in a world where you have those two opinions, and I'm sure you've made everybody mad at the same time.
So this is something I will die on this hill for, okay? If I have a medical issue involving my son, the only 3 people I ever want involved in that conversation are me and his mom, him, and the doctor. If somebody is trying to make some procedure that I think could make him better illegal or whatever, that is the worst possible world I could ever live in. To where if for whatever reason my son and I feel like I've gone through all the appropriate steps and he feels like he's a girl or he's a trans woman or whatever, not at 5, I'm not talking at 5, but at 14, 15.
At 14?
Yeah, if he's having those feelings and we go through therapists or whatever, and that is an option, it's like, well, this is what he's saying, this is what his doctor's saying, and you know what, I'm the parent, I'm going to ultimately make the decision to pull the trigger on that. I don't think anybody else, especially not the government, has the right to stand in between me and my child's future in that decision. Because of some government policy that a bureaucrat is writing.
But you support socialized medicine, right?
Socialized medicine doesn't mandate you have to get a certain procedure.
So, but if you supported socialized medicine, wouldn't the government essentially have some role in every decision-making process that happen? I mean, it's
about making the availability of some particular...
Oh, that's not how socialized medicine works. You know, in all countries that have socialized medicine, there's restrictions on certain procedures and not others, and you have people that have to flee those countries to come
That's
here.
the same thing that happens in the United States with insurance companies. Have you ever tried to do an in-network or out-of-network prescription? Obviously, there's going to be some decisions at the end of the day in terms of what is affordable.
You said
but it's fundamentally different between like what is an affordable drug or what's in-network, out-of-network, or what's like an appropriate prescription versus you're not allowed to do this because ideologically Washington has voted a certain way, and now this type of treatment is available to your child. I think those are fundamentally
that happens under socialized medicine all the time, where people are told that you're not entitled to this procedure because we believe that you're old and it's not worth it, and they make decisions about what people can and can't do.
Old and not these are fun. If you
happens
have somebody that's 87 years old and they're trying to get like a $20 million surgery that might extend their life by like a couple months, that's a fundamentally different question than
then the government can come in and say that person's not entitled to that.
If it's not going to be the government, it's going to be an insurance company. What do you,
no, I'm
so we don't have
about
we live on a planet of
medicine.
limited resources. We don't have infinite resources. There's going to be some. We do have infinite resources.
No. I'm talking about socialized medicine. We're having a different
This happens.
conversation.
Can you acknowledge this happens in private medicine too, right? There's only
Of
so many.
course.
Okay, so there's only so many resources. Even if it was a libertarian fantasy
Oh,
world,
listen.
where it's an anarcho-capitalist, we all pay for whatever we want. Even in that world, you can only buy so many things, right?
Well,
so of
not
course-
necessarily, though.
Yes,
If-
necessarily.
not
Hold on, we
necessarily.
live with limited
No,
resources.
no.
You said that.
No. Yes, within the system. But if you are somebody who went out and made a shit ton of money, and you have a shit ton of money in your backyard, and you can go to doctors that are not part of the system, you can have access to procedures and treatments that you wouldn't have had. Like, for example, when I had Lyme disease, perfect example, and I went through the system, and what they gave me made me sicker and sicker and sicker, and then I found a holistic doctor that didn't take insurance, where it was expensive, and luckily I had saved my money and had that money in bank and went and feel better now than I ever did before. That is why money is freedom.
Okay, so you think that the best healthcare should only be available to the elites in the world?
No, absolutely
How many
not.
people are going to be able to afford to go to another country for
That's
healthcare?
why we had a whole conversation before
Wait, how many?
about
I
reaching
want
for
to
the
answer
stars.
this. How many people do you think realistically in a country can fly to another country for a medical treatment?
Not a lot.
Give me a percentage.
Oh, small amount. I don't know.
Like less than 2, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Okay, I don't want a medical system. So you're telling me, well, in your system, there might be rationing because the 88-year-old grandma can't get a hip replacement. And I'm saying, well, in your system, you're telling me that less than 2% of people can afford like life-saving medicine or alternative
No.
treatments or therapies?
What I'm saying to you is I don't want to exist in a system where government is making decisions for people's individual health.
Okay, and I don't want to
mean,
exist in.
that's
I don't
different
want to
from-
exist in a system where your zip code determines the type of health care you can get for your child. That's a
Okay,
crime.
so you want reform of the health insurance system in the United States, but that's not the answer to that. And I agree because I went in separate conversation, but I remember when I went in and had a baby, and the hospital bills were extraordinary. I mean, it was insane. I honestly had a regular natural delivery, no C-section, barely any drugs, nothing. And I looked at the bills and I said, what would the average person do in a predicament like this? Because I wasn't the average person that year. I had a television job, and even to pay that was like, it was a dent, it was thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So if we're going to have a conversation about reforming the healthcare system, great, we can have that conversation. 100% I'm on board that there are problems in our healthcare system that make basic things very inaccessible to a large number of people, or it traumatizes their entire life to have to pay for them. 100%. But is the answer to that more government involvement in the system? That is extremely dangerous as far as I'm concerned. And if you look at the past 2 years, just as what happened with government, with mandates, with the Biden administration stepping in and wanting to say, you lose your job if you don't get an experimental vaccine, that should have scared the shit out of everybody as far as when you get government involved and they are making decisions for your health, oftentimes they will make decisions that go against the advice of your own doctor, and your own doctor is done. Can't do anything about it. You either have to choose between whether to put food on the table for your family or to get an experimental drug. I do not want government having that kind of authority and power over anyone's health, because I do have a distrust of government institutions.
I work tangential to the tech field. If somebody wants to build a new piece of software or build something for a website, the first question you ask when you go to the table is, has it been done already? Because if it has, then you copy paste. You never rebuild the wheel. Why would you ever do that? When I look at all of the successful healthcare systems around the world, I look at how everybody does healthcare. Every single country that has a functioning healthcare system does it in this way. Why would I want the United States to do it in this way? It doesn't make
Well, not
any
every
sense.
country is the same. The population's not the same, and not every
They're
people say
all
this about
human
guns
beings.
too, though.
They all, a lot of them are fat in Europe. A lot of them have health issues. A lot
Let
of
me
them are
ask you
different.
this though: do you make the same argument for guns? Because when I talk about guns, people, Piers Morgan, whoever it may be, people will say, well, this doesn't exist in Europe, and we should modify. And I say, well, Europe, that's not America. That's not our Constitution. That's not what we were founded on. There are certain principles of freedom in this country. We have a Second Amendment in this country. So can we not acknowledge that it's different? It's different. United States is
Guns
different.
are different because the Second Amendment is literally built right into
Not to
our...
those people making those arguments. They don't care.
I'm not those people. But I wasn't aware of an 11th Amendment that said thou shalt have the right to have private insurance companies be the sole provider of healthcare coverage in the United States, and there shall not be a socialized medicine. How we
There's
deal
also-
how we deal healthcare is not enshrined in our Constitution of enumerated powers.
It's
we have
not.
flexibility and options in terms of how we want to do things. But I'm just saying that if every single country does something in this way, this is in my opinion, this is the dumb form of. There are great forms of American exceptionalism. This is the dumb form of American exceptionalism, where it's we're going to do things our own way, in the way that is the most complicated, the most expensive. We spend more than any other country in the world on healthcare related stuff. We don't even have good outcomes to show for it. And then when I argue with other people about it, well, the great thing about the United States of America is that the top 1%, the same elites that I rally against all the time, are able to fly to other countries to buy whatever crazy healthcare stuff that they want. And I don't know. I don't think that system is right.
So, and we would agree that there's something deeply broken about the American medical system, but we would probably disagree as to why. So
I don't
increasingly you have a number of people in this, you have an expanding problem with obesity in this country. You have an expanding
all the Western
problem
world, but
with what people eat. You have an expanding, and I would argue that Big Pharma has a financial investment in keeping and making people sick. And that
How
is
do they-
because they don't make money off of healthy people.
How do you make people sick as big pharma?
By making them, because the solution, whatever you have a problem in this country, anytime you have a headache, from when you have a headache to you have a menstrual cramp to you have anything, the solution from big pharma is a drug, and a drug has a side effect, and then that makes you sick. And what big pharma? What is
pharma? What does pharma stand
drugs.
for? What are they going to give you? I'm not going to go to Big Pharma and get a new workout plan. That's not a problem. That's exactly what pharma exists for. It's a pharmacy.
But
the
reason it's a problem is because traditional medical establishment utilizes pharma as the primary means of solving everybody's problems. And you know what they don't do? They don't get to the root cause of the problem.
Because the root cause of the problem can't be addressed by pharmacies. But if you go into the hospital and you say, doctor, I've got high blood pressure, I have hypertension, what are you going to do for me? The doctor could say, well, check this out. First of all, your diet is insanely high in sodium.
They don't.
You don't exercise at all.
They
do, but a doctor can't just say that, because what is a patient going to do? In the free, wonderful market of the United States, if you go to a doctor and he tells you over and over again, you're fat as fuck, you never sleep, and you are just, you're destroying your body with lack of physical activity, you're going to say, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to go to the doctor down the street, and I'm going to get the pill that's going to help my blood pressure. As a doctor, the only thing you can do is prescribe a pill. Now, anytime you can say, hey, try doing diet and oxygen. Talk to any doctor, they will tell you this. Every doctor that I've spoken to will say, I always tell my patients, hey, do diet, exercise, whatever. But at the end of the day, as a doctor, you can't control that.
That's not what's happening.
That
it's
is
just
exactly.
not. No, and I can tell you, listen, my personal experience, and I know people in the chat, please raise your hand if you've had this experience. But I don't know if you've ever had anything chronic that I'm sure.
My child's mom had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay,
so I've had lots of hospital. My grandma was.
And when I had the Lyme disease, it was a nightmare. It was doctor to doctor.
Hold on, did you have Lyme disease or did you have chronic Lyme disease?
I had Lyme disease that was a late-stage diagnosis. So essentially what happened was I got a late-stage diagnosis. I didn't know it was Lyme. I went through a bunch of tests. I did have a rash, so later was able to attribute it to that, and had symptoms that progressed until I really got to the root cause of what was going on.
What is the time frame here? Just
late-stage diagnosis, like
9
months.
Like how? Okay, all right.
Why?
I don't believe in chronic Lyme disease, but that's
it's
okay.
It's not chronic Lyme disease. That's
okay.
not what I had. What I had
gotcha.
was a Lyme disease diagnosis that went diagnosed for a long period of time, got sick, then I took prescription drugs for it, which was fantastic until it made me sicker. And then I went to a holistic doctor. I went to neurologists.
What'd you do with the holistic doctor that cured you?
A lot with diet, a lot with supplements, a lot with detoxifying the body.
Why is there nobody when you talk about people that are selling you supplements, selling you vitamin D, selling you detoxifying things? How are these guys not making money just like Big Pharma is?
They are making money.
Then why would you trust them any more than Big Pharma?
Because they get results.
If they had results, they would be Big Pharma.
No, they wouldn't.
They don't have results. That's why it's called holistic medicine and not medicine.
You're looking at the results. I could barely walk across a room on The View, and now I could probably. probably kick most people's asses in the gym, and I feel better than I ever did before. It happens all the time. If you don't believe that people get sick, abandon a big pharma system, say that's not for me, and go a holistic route and get better, you're ignoring a very large segment of the population who absolutely do. The problem with our medical system is in large part that when you go to the doctor, 9 out of 10 times, they're not interested. You know what I got told when I went to the neurologist? Oh, I asked about diet. Oh, diet? Yeah, you should follow what the American Heart Association says. Okay, honey, you don't know jack shit about food is all you just told me. So they don't ask. They don't. They do medical system, regular traditional medicine doctors, ask them how much time they spend studying nutrition. Ask them. They'll tell you almost nothing.
How much time do holistic doctors spend studying
a
medicine?
Ton of time.
No, they don't.
Of course
Absolutely
they do.
not. These people don't go to med school.
Medicine.
These people don't.
Of course they are. They're all MDs. No. Every single holistic doctor that I've seen is an MD. Every single one. Every single one. Every single one. And I also don't think you should poo-poo Chinese medicine. I think there's a bunch of other areas of medicine that have been poo-pooed by
people
the
that
way,
are acupuncturists and people that are chiropractors. These people don't go to medical school. You know that, right? They don't have to go to medical school for it.
I'm not talking about acupuncturists. Okay. I'm talking about MDs that MDs oftentimes, by the way, that go through the regular traditional system. They get their medical degree. They go watch people continuously get sick, get drug dependent, not get better, and then go found innovative medicine practices or things like that. And functional medicine practices to actually get people better and succeed at that every single day. It happens all over the country.
If it happens
However,
all over, then you do research on it, you publish the results, and then those become the new therapies that are recommended for people with those types of diseases.
You're acting like there's not a big bracket of a system that needs that big pharma stuff to get out there because they need a dependent sick society. That's a totally different.
Just as much as the supplement systems, none of which is regulated, by the way, needs these people to push those like ultra shots of vitamin C and the what do they do in Miami here where you can go and get the $300 vitamin infusion, all of that stuff.
I know what you're talking
about. All of these people are just as much pushing any of that stuff as the big pharma guys is. The only difference is the big pharma guys has the FDA and every other part of the private market breathing down their neck to make sure they're not messing up. Whereas these guys can say literally whatever they want.
Oh,
the
Steven.
FDA. That's right, yes.
Stephen, you're well aware that people who work at the FDA and people who work at the CDC and people who work in big pharma are essentially a rotating door of the same employees over and over again.
What is a single industry where that's not the case?
You're talking about the ability.
Are you going to say that somebody that ran in NASCAR is going to go work at the FDA next? Of course. Are you going to tell me that somebody that was working very high up in a pharmaceutical company is probably going to be involved in the regulatory process?
Do people who work at NASCAR ultimately have a decision about the health of you and your family? These are major medical institutions that are holding hands.
They're not holding hands.
And
There's
have
going
a deep
to be
investment in a sick population.
I never worked in mainstream media in my life, but I guarantee you that you probably see a lot of similar video guys, a lot of similar editor guys, a lot of people in the newsroom are showing up in other places because that's the industries that they work in. If I'm looking at who's going to, it's reality.
Absolutely absurd.
It is, and in every single industry I've ever, you've got in professional video games, the people that are the players grow up to be the coaches.
So you don't see how it could be dangerous to have somebody from the FDA who prior worked for Pfizer come in, step into the FDA, and now want to push Pfizer products. You don't see how that could potentially be problematic?
But here's the issue that conservatives have when they criticize big anything is they always go, couldn't this be a problem?
It is a problem.
Then it is a problem. If it is a problem, then you have to show me the problem.
Did you watch Dope Sick?
What?
Did you watch Dope Sick?
No, what's that?
Watch it. Just watch it.
Can you
Come
summarize
back.
it for me? I watch a lot of Project Veritas. I've done a lot of vaccine and COVID-19 research. I've done a lot of...
No, this is a great thing because you're in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Go watch Dope Sick, then come back and we'll have a bigger... I don't want to spend the whole time on pharmaceuticals today because I want to get to body count, which I think is fascinating. Yes, Tyler's like this too, but I'm loving the discussion. Audience, by the way, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Do we have super chat button?
We have some super chat.
Okay, let's go.
Pay for the studio.
So real quick, I put a poll up, 429 votes. 67% of the audience believe that we should switch to a socialized medicine.
Wow,
that's my commies in chat.
You brought the commies in.
My tri-coms, my fellow, yes, they're all there. My red Soviet.
Don't worry.
So real quick, $5 super chat. If Destiny believes you can live happily on $60K, will he not donate? Why will he not donate every dime he makes over $60K and move back to Nebraska?
So something that's difficult for people that have made it is oftentimes they don't realize that they're the exception. I am the exception in a lot of different ways. I wouldn't recommend my lifestyle or the types of things that I do for other people. But that being said, if you look at me, if people treated money the way that I did, I wouldn't mind everybody trying to be a millionaire. I'm a millionaire, and if you look at the car that I drive, I drove here in a $40,000 car. The apartment I live in is like, it's a $3,500 a month apartment, but it's not a $7,000 a month apartment. That's it. That's all I own. All of the rest of my money goes
Why
into.
do you care what everybody else owns? Why
The
do you-
problem
why
that
do
I
you
have is I see people destroy their lives trying to find happiness through materialistic possessions.
So let me
and
ask
they're
you this honest
foregoing
question.
relationships to actually get there.
Fair- okay.
I live a very simple lifestyle. If I would, I could live. If
I
if
do
I
as
lost
well.
some money, I could live at 40, 50, 60K a year.
But,
for sure.
well, okay. So let's say somebody said to you, you believe, but the question is, you believe that on say 60K, somebody
You could
can
be
live,
happy.
be happy. Okay, so why don't you give all your money over 60K away? Just give it all away to charity and live at 60K and be happy.
I'm not telling you that having more money is bad. If you want to go after more money, that's fine. I like having my more money, but I also enjoy the work that I do to get there. But I don't do it at the sacrifice or the detriment to the rest of my life. If I could make 2x or 3x or 5x the money that I make if I were to do things that I didn't like. If I were to sacrifice my personal relationships, or if I were to grind work even harder, I could. But I don't. But I'm not, earlier I told you there are some people that want to build businesses. There's some people that have the talent to be an athlete or some sort of business owner or whatever. That's fine. Do it. But just because you're not doing that doesn't make you a failure or a loser.
Yeah,
I was
so-
happy when I worked my casino job when I worked in Nebraska. I was probably making 36K a year. I think 15 to
But that's
22
you.
an hour.
And somebody else might not feel that way. Everybody's happiness is going to look different. I
Throughout
understand.
all
Listen,
of human
I
history,
understand the
we've been
message.
happy without airplanes, cell phones, and internet. If you think you need all of it now, you're probably the problem
understand. I
because you are a aberration from everything that's
I
come before you.
understand the message of a holistic life. Like, I get it. I get that, you know, it can't be all work and no play. It can't, family is important. I understand leisure is important. I understand sleep is important. Health is important. Just mind rest, which honestly, I don't know how you're on the computer so much because my mind goes crazy. That's a whole other thing, is getting off of the technology sometimes, getting out into like the real world with light, sunshine, and trees and all that stuff. I get it. But the message should then be positive, like, hey, listen, you can go for whatever makes you happy, but just don't forget all this stuff, because this stuff also can accentuate your life in a big
And if
way.
that was the message, I'm A-okay with that.
Okay.
But a lot of the hustle culture stuff seems to be a little
In
bit
other words,
extreme.
he's not giving up his money. He's not giving up his money to go down to 60.
And I wouldn't tell anybody to give their money up. Of course not. I haven't told that to a single person. This is like the
Liberals
answer of
say
like
it all the
this
time.
is like the answer of like, I think we should pay higher taxes. Well, why don't you donate all of your money to
Yeah,
the
why
federal
not?
government? Because me donating all of my money doesn't change anything.
It does. It makes you then loyal to what you said, which is that
The
people should pay high
I'm not
taxes.
loyal to people paying higher taxes. I'm loyal to there being a bigger social safety net, more government programs, and higher taxes. How that happens?
because those are effective at getting people in better shape.
In better shape.
Yeah, like public schools.
Where do you think most of the fat people live? Do you think they're in rural communities or liberal city
We should
communities?
encourage them to not be fat.
They're in rural
We
communities,
should
right?
encourage them to
With
not
all
be
the
fat.
natural cows and the natural pigs and all the like.
We should
we
encourage
have.
them to not be fat.
I agree, sure.
And not be dependent on the system. Let's go. Tyler.
Marcus gave $2. Said elites sending their kids to school for networking. Marcus gave another $5. Said the worst financial decisions of my life were 1, going to school for engineering, and 2, entertaining a serious relationship at the same time.
Well, that is challenging. People, you ever hear from doctors all the time that are in medical school and say they're trying to like do a serious relationship and do medical school, and they like go insane. Just a side note.
That's why I failed college arguably, because I was working like 60, 70 hours a week and trying to do full-time school at the same time. It was impossible because I was working graveyard shifts.
Yeah, you can't. And that's the other message. You can't, like I always say this to people, you can't do everything all the time. Like there's got to be, sometimes you can only do something some of the time, and you got to have that balance. Something's got to give. You only have 24 hours in a day. Anything else we got to get to?
Andrew, $10. All the doctors I've been to in the USA prioritize prescribing drugs.
of course.
The eat healthy and exercise is always a footnote.
Mhm.
Also, no one is talking about the role of trauma in society's health. And then Azron gave $5. Which do you like better, frogs or dinosaurs?
You're asking me to eat.
I don't think you can eat a dinosaur.
You can eat
nowadays.
frogs.
You can eat frogs.
Yeah. I've
Frog
never
legs.
eaten a frog. Frog legs, that's a big thing. Where is that? Where do you eat frog? There's
We did in Nebraska. I think they do in Wisconsin, Illinois.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Frog leg. And they're supposed
Florida.
to. Everything you
that's not
ask,
too, yeah.
I always ask people, what do they taste like? Tastes like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken somehow when you ask people. Isn't that
So does
crazy?
you ever had
Frogs
gator?
are dinosaurs? Dude, no, I didn't have gator, and I'm not going to have gator.
Gator tastes like chicken.
Ugh. Frogs are dinosaurs? Why are they asking me that?
Frogs are dinosaurs.
I'm going to go for a dinosaur. Frog looks slimy to me. I don't like slimy. Plus, if there's dinosaurs, it's going to be cool. That means I went back in my DeLorean, people, and I'm not in 2022 anymore. That's a good thing.
All right, I got one more
Yeah.
for Steven. Airborne gave $10. Said if Steven says he doesn't sacrifice his income for what he wants, why isn't he in Diamond League? Or why isn't he Diamond?
That's a
in
League of Legends joke. We don't do those here.
I don't know what that means.
It's a horrible video game.
I don't know anything about video games.
Oh, you're better off for it, probably.
Yeah, you know what I know about? Super Mario Brothers. That's about as far as I got, and I wasn't very good at it. I did kill I thought it was a dragon at the time, but apparently it's what is it at the end? Is it like a turtle? or something?
Bowser?
Yeah,
Bowser.
See, I'm not nerdy about I don't know. What are you looking at me? Tyler's never looked at me with more disrespect than just now, me saying it could
Well,
be
you
a dragon.
didn't see my face after you called him Mario. Is that a New York
I'm from
thing?
New York. Mario. All right. We're going to have Stephen back one day. I can't dig into more of the pharmaceuticals because I want to get to the body count, and this is really important. But I will have you back one day, and we can talk about
whatever you
kickbacks that, you know, traditional medicine doctors get and why.
Oh, and I'll bring a whole bunch of information about holistic medicine. We can do that too.
Yeah,
especially here in Miami.
I've lived it.
So
I don't need you
clinics.
to tell me about holistic medicine. I literally live and breathe
so have
all of that.
I got to run and grab my 4th vaccine right after this conversation.
You go do that, and I ain't going to be getting one anytime, ever. You got a flu shot while you're at it. I hear they
maybe I will. If they have anything else. Tdap, the
I don't know
stuff,
if they're still doing it, but I heard that at one point you were getting a free donut too, so you get fat and vaccinated at the same time. Woo! Yeah.
You used to be able to get fries, remember?
Oh,
Fries
that's
and a
true.
burger.
Maybe De Blasio is somewhere still getting
I'm looking for
those
strong male role models, and I know Trump weighs like 300 pounds.
There you
so
go.
I'm just trying to get
he
up
said
to
he
the
got
legendary.
vaccinated too. Maybe he got vaccinated with a donut. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
It's possible. Okay. I want to talk to you about body count.
Okay.
This is really interesting. I love this conversation. And by the way, thank you for being here because people who see the world differently oftentimes don't show up to come and talk to me, but I think it's really important that we showcase to the world that we're perfectly capable of having these debates and discussions. It's actually really
We haven't got to the end of the show
important that we
yet.
do.
One of us might kill each other.
There you go.
Okay, who knows?
There you go. All right, body count just might do it, y'all.
Which one?
Okay, we're going to go to 119.29. And I don't remember which one this is, but we'll find out.
Pill world puts so much thought into it because from because I would way rather date a girl that fucked 200 dudes than a girl that fucked 2 dudes.
It's not even close. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
we come from like just two again, right?
Yeah, I'm very experienced and you're not.
Okay, that's all we need on that. Okay, so you have to realize that you are not in the majority of
Yeah,
men
of course.
on that.
Yeah. for
Okay,
sure.
so you understand. Do you understand? You seem to have struggled. I watched several clips in this interview where you were kind of struggling to figure out why guys would want a woman.
Well,
who
I
had a lower
understand,
body count.
but I don't want to be mean.
No, okay. Actually, you know what? Because he just said that, let's go right to that. Let's go to 126.07 because Stephen has an idea of why he believes that people in the red pill community in particular want girls, in particular, we're talking about female body count here in particular, with a lower body count. 126.
So I never bring this up on shows. It's very rare, and I'm going to turn a lot of people off by saying this. I understand that. And I don't mean to sound aggressive or attacky with it, but it feels to me sometimes like when I hear the obsession over body counts, sometimes it feels a little bit like an insecurity thing where the guy feels like he can't stack up with the other men that she's been with.
I agree.
And it's interesting too. So taking what you said, you talking about like, well, high value men are the one that care about this. I feel like the higher in value I've gotten, the less I care about it. Because if I'm with a woman, one, I know she likes me, and two, I know that we're having a really good time. And it's going to be one of the best times that she's had. I don't give a fuck who she's been with or who she's going to be with. Like, I know that's the case.
Good. So my perception is you'd have to ask. I'm not a red pill guy, so I can't, speak for them. I don't want to speak for the community, but I do believe that female body count is really important to men. And I think if I were a guy, I would care about it as well. Here's why. I think that I think that it's a sign of disrespect to yourself to not treat sex as something that has value. And I think that guys still value purity in women. I don't think they have to be virgins, but I think they value women who have been hesitant to put their bodies out there with everyone. In other words, they don't bed hop. Maybe they had a couple of partners, a few partners, but it was people that they really cared about. It was committed relationships. There was monogamy involved. It was a sign of self-respect that those women had because they weren't willing to just sleep with anyone. I watch these videos of girls now, young women, early 20s, and you'll ask them, what's your body count? And they'll say, oh, I don't know, 10, 13, 15. That's gross to me as a female. I wasn't raised that way, and I wasn't raised in a time where that was, the normality. And I believe that that's extremely hazardous because a woman should know, if you don't know, what does that tell me? The number's probably a lot bigger than what you're saying. And it's a sign of just not having respect for yourself. There is something really beautiful and really, I don't know how else to say it, but pure about a woman who has been really selective in those choices. And that's what I think the guys like, because I think ultimately they'll sleep with somebody who has a high body count, but if they're going to settle down with someone, they want that person to have a certain amount of self-respect and to have cared about these things. They don't want someone who's just going to put it out there. They want someone who's really thoughtful about who they share their body with, because for women, oftentimes sex is tied with emotion. Should be anyway, but oftentimes is.
I agree with every single thing you said. The only type of person who can say that, though, is a guy that also has a low body count. As soon as you're talking about guys that could be promiscuous, everything you just said goes out the window. You don't get to be somebody that's fucked 100 girls, and then when you go to settle down, the only woman you have respect for is somebody that's had sex with one or fewer guys. You don't get to do that. It's only one or the other. I hate the discussions of purity and Christianity and Islam and all of these. This is how
I'm
pure,
not even
blah, blah,
talking
blah,
about
No,
religion.
I understand you're not. But people will invoke these concepts like, okay, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But you don't get to go and have sex with 100 girls and then try to settle down with somebody who's only been with like 1 or 2 and say that that's fair. That's not. If you want to talk about sex in terms of self-respect or respecting your body or the purity or blah, 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 then fine, do that. But you have to live the values that you preach. If you're a guy and you fuck 20, 30, 40, 50 girls by the time you're 30, you should look for a girl that's fucked 20, 30, 40, 50 guys. Like the fact that you would try to do anything different is just hypocrisy.
So, and I'm not a fan of hyper promiscuity on either side, men or women. That's just my personal preference. I've been very open with the audience about that. But here's the difference. The difference is that guys do care about this when it comes to women. They care about how many men you've been with, but when you ask women, they don't care about the men. They don't care what the male body count is. If you say to a woman, you're
Well, why
gonna,
wouldn't she?
They don't care. They don't care because I can't explain to you why.
Then everything you said about purity and all that is, we don't care. None of that
No,
matters. Because if
because
we're just
men and women are
asking what do people care about, I know men and women are different.
They're
But
different.
before you were making this argument of like, well, there's a self-respect and blah, blah, blah. And now I ask you, well, what about on the other side? Oh, well, these people don't care.
No.
Then the self-respect and all that doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
From my perspective, I'm telling you that I don't like hyper promiscuity on either side. So
Okay,
if
that's
you're
great, and
gonna-
that's consistent, and that's
that
fine.
is consistent.
Sure.
However, what I am telling you is societally, there is a difference because societally, men. The reason I think that men get away with being more promiscuous is because the women don't care. So if they spend their early 20s and they're like feeling their way
Yeah,
around,
but I don't
and
disagree with
they're-
any of this, of
they
course.
don't
I think
care.
that women generally don't care. Men really do care. But then the question is, why do men care? I think some of it comes down to self-esteem issues. You don't want to be with a girl and think that the last guy had like a bigger dick or did better, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I think some of it is kind of the weird views that we have that I think come a lot of from what you said, that there's some purity that's being ruined when somebody's like had sex with another person or some other people or whatever.
It's just not. You can't have. You remove the emotion from it. You remove.
What about all the emotion from the guy having sex with all those
Forget
women
about the
before?
guys for a second. We're talking about female body count. Well, we can get to the guys. We can have a separate conversation
Sure.
about that but it is different for men and for women. It is different because men oftentimes, by the way, when they have sex, which you know, you're a guy, oftentimes can detach much more easily from the experience emotionally than a female. So it is different. Men and women are hardwired differently when they go out into the sexual marketplace and they engage.
I
They're
don't know if I'd say
different.
hardwired differently. I think there are
Absolutely
some. I think there
hardwired
are some differences biologically in terms of how we gravitate and how we engage with sex. But I think a lot of that can change culturally. For instance, women have become far more promiscuous with things like birth control and abortion being available, which is awesome. These are things that have enabled
Why
women
is that
to take.
good?
Well, because I like sex, and it's better when people like more sex because it makes it easy to have it more.
But if you like sex, and you're somebody, you've been very open. You have an open relationship. Are you married? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're married, but you're in a two-way open relationship, and you're obviously, in order to be able to do that, you and I must look at sex a little bit differently because I
Obviously,
take it
of
much more.
course.
And this is a personal preference. By the way, I'm somebody who believes have the relationship you want, do what you want as long as it's consensual, no one's getting hurt. Go do you. So that's my stand on it. However, for me, it wouldn't be appealing as a guy looking at women. It wouldn't be appealing for me to be with a woman who was very sexually promiscuous. That's not appealing to me.
Why,
because
though?
Because it takes a lot. Women naturally tie sex with emotion.
Not
We do.
all of them,
No,
and there
no,
are
no.
guys that do as well. You can
No,
talk that there are
it's not the
so
same.
many. You can say it's not the same, but there are so many women that a guy has sex with them one time, and the guy becomes like a creepy, hooked up stalker who, for the rest of his
Because
life,
they
is, like,
want more
hooked on-
sex, but often
No, oh
stop.
my goodness. No, hold on. That was the
You
most
don't,
naive.
you don't,
oh, wait,
you
wait,
don't
wait.
believe you
that
can
was
make
the
a
most
generalization.
naive. No,
you
no.
don't believe you can make a generalization that there are more men who are able to have sex without emotion than women who are able to have sex without emotion
I think
naturally.
that broadly speaking, I don't like the word naturally because I think a lot of it is a lot of
Instinctually.
culturally.
Instinctually.
There's a lot of cultural buy-in, which is one of the reasons why Republicans and conservatives push back so much against things like abortion and contraception because that's made women more promiscuous because they've been able to
That's
have
not
sex.
why we push back on abortion. We push back on abortion because you're killing a baby.
Sure, it's part of the. Okay, that's another thing. But like part of the reason why people push back against contraception is because it's allowed you to have sex without consequences. Historically speaking, the consequences for women with sex have been way bigger than the consequences for men, right? So it would make sense that women are a lot more guarded than men are. But when you start to remove some of the guardrails on that, women can open up a bit more, and there's not that risk of like I might get pregnant and be screwed for the rest of my life because now I've got a kid from a guy that just abandoned me, right? So and then you see that opening up. So I do agree that there is naturally a slightly different engagement between men and women on
Yeah,
sex.
that's
That's
what I
true. But I don't think it's like all women that have sex or most women are super emotional. Most men are super
No,
attached.
I'm saying
I would
that
even, I would say
women
there's
are more likely to have an emotional attachment
more
with
likely,
someone
but
they
I think
sleep
there's
with.
more crossover than there is difference there.
But why would you want a woman? Why would you want a woman with a high body count?
Why
over
would a woman want a
low
man with a high body count?
They don't want a woman with a guy with a high body
But they
count
don't care.
necessarily. They don't care.
Then I don't care.
Because they're different. No, I'm not saying you personally.
Well, you
I'm
just
not
asked
saying-
me personally.
Yeah, I mean, why would you as a man in general? I mean, why would you want a woman?
There are a few
Why
reasons.
is it more appealing to have a woman with a higher body count, in your opinion?
It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for like sexual performance, somebody with a higher body count is going to have more experience.
That's not necessarily true, though.
It's not necessarily true. There could be one person that's had sex with one person 500 times.
Yeah,
versus
but think about it. I mean, you could be a serial monogamist.
We're speaking in generalities, right? You're asking me in generalities. Okay. Somebody in general with a higher body count is generally going to have more experience with different types of people than somebody with a lower body count. In general, it's not always true. Some of the best sex that I ever had in my life was with my very first girlfriend because we dated for 4 or 5 years, right? And we were both virgins, I think, going into that. So. Yeah, I agree that, but I'm speaking in generalities. Generally, somebody with a higher body count is going to be somebody that probably, one, aligns more with my views on sex, right? Like, because of the type of person I am, the hyper promiscuous, progressive, crazy, socialist, whatever you want to call me, probably not going to run into like a good Christian girl with 0 body count that wants to go with me because we're going to be very wildly divergent of values. And then the types of things that we value sexually are probably going to more align if we've both been like relatively promiscuous, to use that